حمدا لمن هداني لسنة العدنان محمد المختار وسيد الأطهار.
Doesn't necessarily reject God's existence, but he doesn't have any.
So you're more like agnostic.
Yeah, more like
agnostic atheist. Yeah.
Agnostic atheist. Right? Yeah. So atheism is the belief that there is no God. Agnosticism is more that there could be, but they're not sure.
Or lack of belief.
Or lack of belief.
Lack of well, I would say atheism is lack of belief, and agnosticism is lack of knowledge. So.
Okay. So you are both?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's take it back to where did we come from?
Yeah.
Right? For example, do you know about the minimum gene concept?
No, I don't.
Okay. So you can go look it up when you get home. You're a researcher, you're a student at UCSD, that's great, right? There is a concept which can be tested that no living organism, even a single cell organism, can survive without a minimum set of genes.
Yeah.
So if the idea is that life spontaneously generated from nothing, that would mean the original cell would not have a whole set of genes, right?
Yeah.
It would only have one gene or two, whatever, right? So the minimum set, and there's numbers given and tested and all of that, show that even the original cell had to have had a basis with a full set of genetics for it to reproduce.
Yeah.
Right? So where would that come from?
Well, I disagree, because the point of where I disagree is that you say that life just came out of nothing, except that's not what the scientific answer would be about evolution, which is not what evolution
Excellent.
is.
No problem. So let's take it to the scientific answer, right?
Yeah.
Where did we evolve from? Primates.
Yeah.
For example, the theory of evolution. Theory, not a fact. Let's keep going back. Okay?
Yeah. Well, scientific theory, it means it's been rigorously and academically proven. So.
No. A scientific theory is debated, right? Till today.
Theory. Well, it's like theory of gravitational.
Gravitation, sure.
Yeah, so.
I work in the med device industry, so don't think that I'm not aware with how theories and hypotheses work, and even gravity is still debated. What exactly causes an object, whether two objects the same weight would fall at the same rate, all of that. So theories, there are scientific facts and there are theories. Theories, even if they've been rigorously debated and argued, for example, Darwin's ideas of evolution, today many of them have been debunked, right? I'm sure you've read up on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's take it back. Go before primates, before all of that. Evolution started from where?
Pardon?
Where did we start to evolve from?
Well, I mean, I really can't answer that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is the issue, right? The theory of evolution cannot tell you where life started from.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So that would mean that if we follow the theory, there would have to have been a single cell organism, right? For it to develop.
Yeah.
That single cell organism would have had to have had at least a minimum gene set for it to survive.
Okay. Yeah.
So who created that set, which was in a perfect enough model for it to replicate and develop?
Well, that's a loaded question, because you're asking who with the intention that it was some being or something.
I'm open to any answer you give me. You can say aliens, you can say a lightning strike, I'm with you. Like, it's not loaded, it's a real question.
I would think that, I mean, there's a few sort of ideas.
Okay. Hit me.
I guess I would, like the one I think is probably most likely is sort of like, I know, like chemical soup.
A chemical what?
Chemical soup.
Well, what do you mean a chemical?
So chemical soup is like, if you have, like, if you're thinking about like really early Earth, and you have some sort of warm, just like, it's sort of like, this has been observed in a lab, where you have a bunch of like chemicals, like you have carbon and hydrogen and oxygen.
So those molecules came from?
What do you mean?
The molecules.
You want me to finish, or you want
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So, like, it's been found in a lab that, like, you know, if you have, like, basically, if you zap electricity through, like, these pools of different molecules, you can randomly put them together just through random process, like amino acids. So amino acid creation has been observed. From there, we can sort of think that it can lead to proteins, can lead to more complex things. And so, like, you're thinking about, like, lightning strike. And so I would say that the creation of life is something that is probably almost infinitely like less likely to happen than a lightning strike. But the thing is that there's like 1 billion years
Hold on.
Sitting around in order for life to be created. So.
I just want to understand this, right? I mean, are you finished? I don't want to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
So where'd the lightning come from?
Lightning? Well, what do you mean?
I mean, originally to start.
As an analogy, I thought.
So I'm saying the origins of life. You were explaining that, right? From a soup that got hit by lightning.
Not by lightning.
Okay.
Not by lightning. Just through we can sort of think that it can lead to proteins, can lead to more complex things. And so, like, you're thinking about like lightning strike and lightning, not by lightning, just through random collisions of molecules. Responding.
Okay. So where did those molecules come from?
So are you going? So the question, the argument here is just back to the beginning, and you're gonna ask. So I'm gonna say, it came from space dust that coalesced into a planet. You're gonna say, where did that come from? I'm gonna say, well, it all came from the Big Bang.
But you're saying there were already planets there then?
What do you mean?
So you're saying this process happened after there were already planets?
Well, the Earth is like 4.6 billion years old.
Right. Estimated, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Rough.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So life in general developed through particles of sand that got.
Well, could be. It could be. Yeah, it could be.
Right. So.
Yeah.
So the question again would be, would we be able to take those particles of sand would develop a cell without electricity, without lightning?
Yes. Right? I believe.
How would that happen?
The thing with that is that you have. It's sort of just like it's like something that if you imagine something that has like a very, very, very like low like likelihood of happening, but given you have such a long time period, it's because it's iterative. It ends up being a fairly high likelihood. Or it could just be so
without
rare,
any
and we just happen
intelligence
to be on a planet with life, and it's a rare planet with life. It could be very rare.
So without any intelligent design, without any higher power, without any growth, those sand particles developed.
Sand, but yeah.
Space dust. What were we saying?
Well, I was saying.
I'm going by your
chemical soup.
All right, but chemical soup. Then you said came from space dust.
Was on the planet, and our planet comes from coalescing nebulae. So.
All right.
Basically space dust.
And that soup came from where?
What do you mean it came from?
The chemical soup was already there, always there? Or?
Well, you want to trace it. You want to trace it all back.
Yeah.
Trace it all back so you can have. I'm not an expert on quantum mechanics, but originally at the beginning of the universe, it was just smaller particles that then sort of like quarks and things that organized into.
Can we observe that?
Well, what we can
observe
is we can observe hydrogen atoms using nuclear fusion to become helium and higher elements. And then
but the universe was at a point. There's no evidence, right? That's just a theory.
Yeah, it's a theory.
Okay, so you have no evidence for that. That's just a theory. Gotcha. Okay. So now, how did those single-cell organisms develop into a fully functioning human being like yourself, without any guidance?
Well, through evolution.
Through evolution. Okay.
Through billions of years of trial and error.
I gotcha.
Pretty much.
We're gonna be honest, though, right?
Yeah. What's honest?
So this is a cell phone.
Yeah.
Right. It has a camera. It has a CPU.
Yeah.
Right. If I told you, just be honest, over billions of years, space dust turned into this phone, would you believe me? Be honest.
I mean, it could be.
Would you believe me? Just be honest. Would you believe me?
Probably not, because.
Why not?
Well, the reason why is because I know that the phone, like, you can actually go to a factory.
Sure.
I can go to an iPhone factory and I can see the phone being manufactured.
But I can tell you, if I told you,
observe God manufacturing humans.
You're getting ahead of me, bro. Take it easy. Relax. All right.
Yeah.
If I told you this particular phone was not made in a factory, this particular phone in my hand was evolved from particles of dust over quadrillions of years, not billions, but trillions of years. It unlocks just like a regular phone. It has WhatsApp, it has all these apps, it has a camera, it has Siri. But this particular phone did not come from a factory, it just evolved. Would you believe me? Yes or no? I mean, just be honest.
No, but the thing is, it's not an apt analogy.
I didn't make it out. I just asked you for an answer. Relax. You're getting like nervous and ahead. Relax, right? So my question there would be, why couldn't this?
What do you mean?
Why couldn't this evolve? Why would you not believe me?
I wouldn't believe you because there's probably a higher likelihood of humans making it, because I've observed that humans
why? I mean, again, you have not observed this phone being made.
Yeah.
right?
Well, I would think the likelihood is quite small that I could round to approximately 100% of phones.
You just earlier said that a small likelihood over long periods of time can still be possible. So now you're breaking your own theory. Even if there's a very small likelihood, over quadrillions of years, grains of sand, this particular phone was developed by it. Why would you not believe it?
Well, see, if you told me it was manufactured in a factory by people, I'd believe you. If you told me
I
it
didn't
was
say
made
that.
by God, I wouldn't believe you.
I didn't say that either. See, again, you're jumping around instead of answering my question, right? My question is...
What you're doing is fine-tuning.
I'm not. It's a very simple question. This particular phone in my hand, if I told you that over trillions of years, grains of sand evolved to make this phone, would you believe me or not?
No, I would not believe you. Yeah.
Why would you not believe me? I told you over trillions of years. So even the slightest possibility, according to your principle, could make it. So why not?
Because I'm saying it's more likely that a phone would have been created.
More likely doesn't mean that it's impossible.
You're asking me, do I believe?
Yeah.
And so generally, the logic of I believe is something that's probably what's more likely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in the same sense, now when we talk about, go ahead.
No, nothing. Yeah.
All right. If you want to have a conversation, we're here. If you don't, you're a free man, right? So, if you take the same sense and you see a human being, your eyes have a function, right? If your eyeball did not have the function to see, right, there would be no purpose behind a ball of jelly. That means the original development of the eyeball had to have a function.
No.
No? Why not?
Necessarily.
Okay, so what would be the function for a ball of jelly in your face?
I mean, you can trace back the evolution of the human eye through different sort of like more sort of primitive eyes with different lenses. I mean, I'm not an expert on evolution.
So each one of those lenses would be able to see.
Yeah.
So that would mean the original eye didn't develop out of just a ball of jelly. It had to have the function originally for it to be valuable.
The human eye is very, very complicated. And
sure,
came from
a simplistic eye would still be able to see, right?
Yeah.
That means the first eye had to have some form of vision, and that means it didn't evolve from just a ball of jelly, right?
Yeah.
So that would mean that there was design behind the eye. Let me explain it, right? If you take natural selection, you would have to have something that is needed for your survival, right? And then your genes would go forward because you would reproduce and so on, and the ones that didn't would die out, right?
Yeah.
So that means the first people or first animal or first being with eyes had to have been able to see, otherwise they would not be selected, right?
So what are you saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's track the eye back.
Yeah. Well, I can't track the eye since I don't study biology.
But do you understand the concept?
Yeah, I understand. I sort of understand the concept that you're getting at, but I don't agree because I think that something useful can come out of something that doesn't have a use.
So what was there before the eye had vision?
I mean, I have no idea, right?
Yeah, so you don't, right? Now, let's think through that, right? Today, there are functions in your body that are exactly like the functions in his body and his body and his body, right?
Yeah.
But if you have random mutation, which is a theory within evolution, then each one of us, not as a species, as individuals, should be mutating, right?
Yeah.
So you don't see people walking around with a horn, right? You don't see people...
Except you have brown eyes and I have blue eyes.
Sure,
So that's
I got you. Is that a random mutation or is it genetic?
Well, you can actually trace back the history of the first blue-eyed people. It's like a sort of one blue-eyed ancestor.
Where did his blue eyes come from?
Genetic mutation. Well, it's sort of... I'm not an expert on evolution.
I know.
So sort of,
I can tell. Relax.
The idea is either sort of, random, I guess, like radiation interacting with
but see, again, if you take that through, that means we should be randomly changing eye colors all the time.
No.
Why not?
Because
it's random mutation.
Not if it's a low probability.
Right, but even low probability over a large period of time would still have it.
So a large period of time is the period of time in which blue eyes have come about. So that was on that.
But then you should also have randomly different colors coming forward, not just genetically.
Yeah.
Well, we don't see that, right?
We do see that. Blue eyes.
Blue eyes are one set,
Talking about
green
blue
eyes, and then you have genetic mixes between those.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You don't see anybody coming out with yellow eyes.
No.
Right? So
haven't mutated.
right? So that's the idea, right? That if you say these are just random, then people should be having random differences in their faces, in their bodies, 3 arms and things like that.
People do have differences in their faces and bodies.
But not randomly, right? Everybody has a nose, everybody has 2 eyes, right?
Actually,
unless you have a genetic.
I mean, some people have 6 fingers.
Sure. There are anomalies, but you don't see races of people developing out different than others, do you?
Yeah, well, because in order for that to be the case, mutation would have to be much more frequent.
Exactly, right? So that means you'd have to have a certain amount of a species mutating, not an individual. Who coordinates that?
Well, it's uncoordinated.
Think about that, right? Like that would mean that many of us would have to mutate the same way without any coordination.
Well, you're saying who coordinated it, but that's a loaded question.
It's not. It's a very simple question.
You're saying who and not what, which I feel like what would be more.
Is there a difference between who and what?
Yeah.
Why?
Because who you're
okay, what coordinated it?
Who is the person? What coordinated it? Well, then I would answer nothing coordinated.
So who or what? You have no answer either way.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you a simple question now, right? Can I split the moon?
This thing. No.
No?
No, I assume you can. I can't know for sure. Right?
All right. So in the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, for example, we have an actual event that was eyewitnessed by many people that were witnesses, right? Including enemies of the Prophet, peace be upon him, including people in other geographical locations, where he asked the people, right? He asked them, ask me, will you believe? They said, if you split the moon, right? And he supplicated, and the moon split and came back together, right? So how would that happen?
Can you show me it though? Can you show me
excellent,
right now?
Excellent. As I said, I cannot split the moon, right? But I can give you historic references, right, of people that saw it, not just Muslims, right? Enemies of Islam. I can show you the chain of narration, right? For example, you believe Alexander the Great existed, right?
Probably, yeah.
Do you believe that or no?
I can assume that Alexander the Great might have existed. Yeah.
George Washington, did he exist?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
You're not sure?
Well, I mean, I wasn't there, so I can't know anything for certain.
Anything that you weren't there, you don't believe existed?
Well, I believe it probably was the case. Yeah.
Why do you believe that?
What do you mean?
Why do you believe George Washington existed?
Well, see, the difference with George Washington is it's very, very recent. So,
okay. But how do you know? Was there a camera? You got a YouTube video?
No, I don't.
So you're going by historic reports?
I can't know for sure. I can't know for sure. But
so how do you know anything that you haven't seen?
Well, I can't. I just assume. That's the answer. I can't know for sure.
All right. Do you have a grandfather?
Yeah.
Did you see him?
Yeah.
Great-grandfather?
No, not my great-grandfather. No.
Did you have one?
Yeah.
How do you know?
Well, I mean, grandparents have to come from somewhere. So.
Okay, but you don't know. You haven't seen them.
Oh, yeah, technically not. Yeah, technically. I mean, that's getting more into philosophy.
I'll tell you what.
Of like what is real.
No. So the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, for example, his miracles, like what I just explained, were witnessed by people, right? We can historically check those reports. We can check who saw them, how was their reliability, how was their moral character, how many people saw it, even in other geographical locations, right? Like there are reports out of India who were not Muslim, who saw the same thing. How would that happen?
Well, I just simply, I mean, the answer is I can't know for sure, because you could say, like we could, like for example, like I don't know, where's it written, you're saying, in the Quran? Or?
No, it's in the Quran as well, but also in the historic books like At-Tabari and Ibn Kathir. But there are also reports, I have a video on it, you can watch it. It discusses the whole issue of NASA, and it discusses the issue of the reports out of India and the reports by even the enemies of the Prophet that were in other areas, right? That witnessed those reports. Take a look at it.
Well, my question is first, how do you know that the sources are reliable?
Excellent question, right? When we check those hadith, we look at who the narrator is, where he lived, we look at his biographical information, we look at who he reported to, who all wrote it down. And when we find that there were different people who witnessed the same event, told different people, who wrote down in different geographical locations, enemies, foes, and friends reported the same event, right? Then after that research, we say, no doubt this was a historic event.
Okay. Yeah, but what if I don't believe the reputability?
Why not? Wow, excellent, excellent. What you would have to, I can show you who the right. I have, and I can share that evidence with you. And if you have some criticism of those narrators, I'd be more than happy to discuss it.
Well, it's not something I know a lot about. I'd have to do more research.
Okay, watch the video. It's called Moon Splitting, Uthman ibn Farouk. Check it out. I will give you a hypothesis that you can go home and think about.
Okay.
All right. There is a creator, right, who created us. That's why everything is made out of the same type of cells, right? Like your whole body is from the same types of cells, but there is no organization, nobody tells a cell become this or become that. Right?
So you're saying a deistic.
Sure.
A deistic interpretation. So.
Yeah, I am a Muslim, so definitely. I do believe in a creator. Right? That creator, he created us with purpose, and that tells you where we came from. A creator that had always existed, right? A creator that showed us miracles in our own life. For example, how does milk come in the breast of a woman? The theory of evolution cannot answer it, because you'd have to have a need for it to have developed, and you'd have to have had it for that child to have survived.
Well, that's an answer. That's a question for an evolutionary biologist.
Sure, so and I discuss it with people who are PhDs, biologists on a daily basis, almost. Not every day, but very frequently, because I work with a lot of scientists who do research into clinical trials of pharmaceuticals and med devices. They cannot answer that. So you can take that question to your professors and ask them.
Okay.
All right. Take a Quran. It's free. Read it.
Which one?
Anyone. They're all the same. It's just different sizes. You want a smaller one? You can keep it pocket size. Here, take this one.
Take the big one?
Yeah. They're all free. Take it, read it, come back with more questions. What was your name?
Yasha.
Yasha? Uthman.
Yeah.
Pleasure speaking to you.
Well, I mean, it'd be interesting to read. I mean, I've been meaning to get around to reading the Bible as well.
Excellent.
Clearly, they're popular for a reason.
They are. Read it, come back, and we'll talk more.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We actually had someone else who wanted you to meet, but then he couldn't come. So,
alhamdulillah. Next time, bring them, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Shaykh.
آمنت أن الآخرة لا بد يوما آتية كل الخلائق حاضرة كل السرائر بادية آمنت أن الآخرة لا بد يوما آتية كل الخلائق حاضرة كل السرائر بادية